Have you ever wondered what it feels like to be judged, not by your actions, but by your appearance alone? What if, in a single moment, a simple woman, carrying not wealth on her shoulders, but hope in her heart, steps into a world that values status over substance? And what happens when that world realizes they've made a terrible mistake? The camera opens to a fresh, crisp morning in the city of Boston. Sunlight streams through the pristine glass panels of Empire Trust Bank, reflecting off the gleaming marble floor. Amidst this glamorous setting, a simple woman steps inside. Emily Carter, 34 years old, dressed in grey sweatpants and a plain t-shirt. Yet her eyes shine with calm confidence and quiet determination. No one knew that this humble woman was the force behind the Carter Hope Foundation, an organization that had transformed the lives of thousands of underprivileged children across the country. Walking beside her is her husband, Richard Carter, 42 years old, wearing a tailored navy blue suit and an elegant platinum watch on his wrist. Richard needs no introduction. He is the man who built Carter Capital, one of the most powerful financial empires in the nation. Just before stepping into the bank, Richard glances at his watch. "Are you sure you want to handle this yourself?" Emily gently squeezes his hand and offers a soft smile. "You know I do. I've always wanted to personally manage everything related to the foundation. It's what we agreed on from the very beginning." Their relationship was never built on status or fortune, but on mutual respect and unwavering trust. Inside the bank, all eyes immediately turn to Richard with admiration. Expensive suits rise to adjust their ties, lower-level staff bow in greeting. But when they glance at Emily, those same eyes flicker with doubt, even disdain. Who is this woman? She doesn't belong here. What they didn't know was that this simple woman they so easily underestimated, in just a few minutes, would leave the entire bank in stunned silence. Stay with us, because what happens next will not only change Emily's life, but it might just change the way you see the world. Before we dive in, tell us in the comments, have you ever been judged unfairly just because of how you looked? We'd love to hear your story. Inside the grand hall of Empire Trust Bank, the air grew increasingly thick with judgment as Emily Carter approached the counter. Standing across from her was Amanda Blake, the branch manager, her face perfectly composed, yet her eyes betrayed a weariness and bitterness that ran deep. Having just watched her hopes for a promotion slip away, Amanda channeled her frustration toward the woman standing before her. Emily placed a stack of documents and a large check on the counter, speaking with calm composure. "I'd like to open a new account for the Carter Hope Foundation. All the paperwork is in order." But Amanda didn't even reach for them. She glanced at the check with a look of suspicion, deliberately condescending, as she remarked, "We usually see amounts this large from people who, well, look a little different." Her insinuation only added fuel to the already simmering tension in the room. Other customers had begun to take notice, some shifting uncomfortably, others watching with a mix of indignation and morbid curiosity, as if witnessing a tragic play unfold. Despite her cheeks burning red with humiliation, Emily remained composed, her voice steady as she replied, "Your bank has already cleared this transaction with our CFO. Please review the documents." But Amanda shot back coldly, her tone laced with thinly veiled disdain, as though she were delivering a decree from on high. "Authorized clients don't show up here dressed like that. I suggest you find a bank that better suits your kind of customer." Her words struck Emily's pride like a slap across the face, cutting deep into her dignity and heart. "Do you think money makes a person worthy of respect?" Emily wondered silently, keeping her thoughts hidden behind a composed exterior, though her heart trembled within. Her moment of humiliation had only just begun. Stay tuned, because what's about to happen will leave the entire bank in utter shock. Stay with us. What happens next will shake the very foundation of Empire Trust Bank. Amidst the suffocating tension inside Empire Trust Bank, Amanda Blake continued to press her advantage, piling on condescension toward Emily with every glance and insinuation about the legitimacy of her transaction. Emily, though pushed into a corner, admirably maintained her composure. She understood well, the rougher the waves, the more one needs a steady shore to weather the storm. But right at the most stifling moment, the sound of an international call ending sliced through the heavy atmosphere. Unbeknownst to many, Richard Carter had been standing beside his wife all along. He stepped forward, his calm and deliberate strides seeming to awaken the entire room. A question rang out, filled with quiet authority and unmistakable power. "Is there a problem here?" Amanda turned sharply, her eyes at first dismissive, regarding the man before her as just another ordinary customer. But in an instant, as her gaze caught the meticulous platinum watch, the polished leather shoes, and the undeniable air of composed power surrounding him, Amanda began to sense that something was terribly wrong. Her voice wavered as Richard gently stepped closer, placing a reassuring hand on Emily's shoulder. "You're speaking to my wife." The entire room seemed to freeze. His words struck like a thunderclap across a silent sky. Every customer turned in unison, eyes wide with shock. Amanda stammered, Your wife?" Richard nodded firmly. "Emily Carter, founder of the Carter Hope Foundation. She's here to set up funding for our national literacy program." Fear swept across Amanda's face like a storm. A nearby bank clerk instinctively took a step back, as though bracing for the fallout of a catastrophic mistake. Emily Carter was no ordinary customer. She was a woman transforming the lives of thousands of children. A truth Amanda had misjudged so gravely, there was no coming back from it. And yet, the worst is yet to come. Stay with us, because what happens next will make this moment look like just the beginning. The air inside the grand hall of Empire Trust Bank seemed to freeze after Richard Carter's words. Every eye turned toward him and Emily as if witnessing a truth too staggering to believe. Amanda Blake stood frozen, her face drained of all color. Her voice trembled as she struggled to maintain a mask of authority, though it was already crumbling. "Mr. Carter, if I had known that this was—" Richard interrupted her, his voice calm, yet carrying undeniable weight. "And that, Ms. Blake, is precisely the problem. You judged my wife not for who she is, but by how you measure a person's worth, through appearance and status." His words, like a charge of accusation, echoed through the marble hall, as if even the stone walls reflected back the harsh truth of her prejudice. Emily spoke next, her tone composed but gleaming with quiet strength. "Your gravest mistake isn't how you treated me. It's believing that people like me don't belong in places like this." Around them, customers who had moments ago been mere curious spectators began to nod in agreement. This was no longer just an encounter between a wealthy man and a bank manager. It had become a mirror for society itself. Smooth transition. Charles Griffin, the director of Empire Trust Bank, stepped into the main hall. He had been observing the entire scene from his office above. His eyes were stern, his expression carrying the weight of gravity. "Mr. Carter, Mrs. Carter, I am Charles Griffin. As the director of this bank, I must acknowledge that we have a very serious problem here." Richard met his gaze squarely responding with steady conviction. Indeed, Mr. Griffin, this is not just an isolated incident of personal misconduct. This is a deeply rooted cultural issue. And if we do not act right now, this pain will only continue to spread, not just within this bank, but throughout our entire community. Stay with us. What happens next will turn this confrontation into a catalyst for profound transformation. The atmosphere inside the hall of Empire Trust Bank had shifted. No longer weighed down by prejudice and condescending stares, it was now filled with the quiet of people who were truly listening to a story bigger than themselves. Emily Carter stepped forward, her gaze still calm, but now shining with unwavering conviction. "I'm not asking for hollow apologies, Mr. Griffin. I'm asking for real action." Charles Griffin nodded, his eyes reflecting admiration for Emily's composure and profound vision. Emily laid out her proposals clearly. First, every employee at Empire Trust must undergo training to recognize and overcome unconscious bias. Second, the bank must establish a clear policy of unconditional respect, regardless of appearance, background, or account balance. She paused for a moment, then pressed on with firm emphasis. And finally, partner with our Carter Hope Foundation to create future opportunities for underserved communities. I want this bank to become a true ally. Her words rang out in the now silent hall, carrying the weight and power of someone who had spent her life fighting for those left behind. Charles Griffin did not hesitate. He began to feel, more deeply, that these proposals were not mere gestures of goodwill, but the blueprint for a complete transformation of the institution. "I agree with Mrs. Carter," he declared firmly, "and beyond that, we will launch the Community Empowerment Initiative, a dedicated program to support non-profit organizations and community development projects." A quiet ripple spread through the bank's grand hall. Customers and employees alike found themselves facing something unprecedented. Not just a display of courtesy, but the genuine hope of a brighter future. Don't go anywhere. What unfolds next will prove that real change is not just a dream, but a decision. Amidst the growing murmurs of hope spreading throughout Empire Trust Bank, Amanda Blake stood on the sidelines, like a shadow of her former self. Her hands were clasped tightly, full of confusion and regret. The arrogance she had once worn like armor had now crumbled, leaving behind nothing but a hollow shell. In the bitter stillness of this whirlwind of change, a calm voice cut through her spiraling thoughts. "Ms. Amanda, if I may, it would be my honor to complete the transaction for the Carter Hope Foundation." The speaker was Lucas Nguyen, a young bank teller who had, until now, remained quietly in the background. His voice was steady and respectful, carrying a special sincerity. "Last year, the Carter Hope Foundation's literacy program saved my younger sister, Mia. She used to struggle with reading, but now she's read her very first book on her own." Our whole family cried tears of joy. His brief story struck straight to Amanda's heart. A sudden, unexpected emotion stirred within her. Memories of sleepless nights spent helping her own son wrestle with the pages of his books. After a moment's hesitation, Amanda's facade broke, and in a low voice she confessed, "My son, he's struggling with reading too. I've kept Mia's article from last month's newspaper as a small beacon of hope." Her voice softened further, the hardened shell of composure melting away to reveal a mother desperately searching for a path forward for her child. Emily, having witnessed this entire moment, stepped closer. She carried no resentment, only the quiet compassion of someone who understood that prejudice often grows from unseen pain. "This Thursday, our foundation is holding a workshop for parents of children with reading difficulties, Amanda. You should come. Amanda accepted the invitation from Emily's hand, her own fingers trembling slightly. The door to hope remained open, even as she stood amidst the shadows of her past mistakes. Stay with us, because what comes next proves that even our harshest critics can become our greatest advocates. Empire Trust Bank had once been a symbol of luxury and privilege, but that day, amidst the cold marble and the heavy gazes clouded by prejudice, a seed of change was planted. With just a few words, Emily Carter had not only challenged an entire system, but awakened a collective that had grown numb to compassion. Yet the true miracle lay within the people of the bank themselves. Lucas Nguyen, the young teller with the heartfelt story about his sister, was appointed as the Community Engagement Director of the newly formed Community Empowerment Initiative. At the official press conference, Charles Griffin declared, "Today, Empire Trust Bank is no longer a fortress for the few, but a bridge for life itself. We are committed to turning forgotten dreams into real success stories." And then, something remarkable happened. The very first person to enroll in the program was Amanda Blake. With newfound humility and a transformed gaze, she chose to attend the workshop for parents of children struggling with literacy. Lucas spotted her at the entrance to the auditorium. "Amanda, I read your article about the pain parents feel when their children struggle to read. I think you should share your story with the other parents. You could be the anchor they need." Amanda looked at him with teary eyes, her earlier hesitation melting away into quiet confidence. "I'll do my best, not for pride, but for my son, and for families like mine." At the event, Emily could feel it clearly. The wave of change had truly begun. She softly reflected, "For me, true victory isn't just about defeating prejudice. It's about facing it and transforming it into a force for change." Don't go anywhere, because the final chapter will leave you with a truth so profound, you'll carry it with you long after the story ends. On a bright, sunlit morning, Empire Trust Bank was no longer the cold fortress of privilege it once was. The grey gold walls and marble floors now seemed to reflect an open space, one where the light of change was pouring in. At the launch ceremony of the Community Empowerment Initiative, Emily Carter stood before a full auditorium, her eyes shining with both steady resolve and a warm, radiant hope. "Change is never easy," Emily began, "but when we confront what is wrong, not with anger, but with a demand for dignity, we create space for miracles to happen." The room fell silent, every person hanging on her every word. Charles Griffin, the bank's director, sat in the front row, his face etched with determination, as if sealing a silent promise within himself. Then, to everyone's surprise, Amanda Blake stepped onto the stage. No longer the cold manager she once was, she now stood there as a mother, carrying the hope of a better future for her son. "I was wrong," Amanda began, her voice thick with emotion. "Not just wrong toward Mrs. Carter, but wrong toward all those I had carelessly dismissed. Today, I choose to make it right through action." Her voice trembled as she spoke of her son. "My son deserves a mother who fights for him, not a mother who turns away from the truth." Applause erupted like a tidal wave, sweeping across the room. In that moment, Amanda was no longer seen as the source of past mistakes, but as a beacon of inspiration. Richard Carter, sitting beside Emily, looked at her with warmth in his eyes. "You didn't just change a bank, Emily. You've changed the way people see the world around them." Emily smiled, the light in her eyes as bright as the morning sun. We never merely change systems, Richard. We change hearts, and from there, we change the world. At that moment, the entire auditorium rose to their feet, not just in applause, but in standing for a future free from invisible barriers. If this story touched your heart, remember, true transformation begins not in grand speeches, but in the quiet choices we make every day. Subscribe to our channel for more stories that awaken the heart and inspire change. And tell us, what moment in your life changed how you see others? We'd love to hear your story. Lessons we can take away from this story. Never judge a person by their appearance. This story reminds us that a person's worth is not measured by the clothes they wear or the status they hold, but by the kindness in their heart and the good they bring into this world. Never let appearances fool you, because behind simplicity may lie a noble soul filled with resilience and strength. Prejudice is the root of injustice. Snap judgments and biased glances led Amanda and the entire bank into a moment of disgrace. These prejudices blinded them from the truth and built walls that stood in the way of fairness and respect. Compassion and understanding can transform an entire system. When Daniel stood up, he wasn't just defending his beloved wife. He forced a powerful institution to confront its own flaws. Deep understanding is always the key that unlocks the door to real change. Responsibility is not individual. It belongs to the whole organization. Empire Trust Bank realized they could no longer turn a blind eye to acts of discrimination. Acknowledging their mistakes and committing to change became the clearest proof of their social responsibility. Education is the root of transformation. Training in bias awareness and diversity isn't just a duty, it's an essential step to awaken every person in an organization to act with greater integrity and understanding. People have the power to change. Amanda's moment on stage, as she admitted her mistakes and became a source of inspiration, proves that anyone can correct their wrongs and become a better version of themselves. The power of collaboration creates real impact. The bank's community initiative proved that when organizations and communities join hands, the most beautiful changes blossom, and the dream of fairness no longer feels out of reach. This story is not just about a misunderstood woman or a billionaire husband defending his wife. It's a profound lesson on how our smallest choices can ripple out to transform even the biggest systems. It shows us that change begins in the heart of each individual. When we stop judging, start understanding, and have the courage to take responsibility, our society becomes a place where everyone is valued and given a fair chance. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to hit that like button and share your thoughts in the comments below. And most importantly, make sure to subscribe to Toch Story and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a story that touches your heart. Because here at Toch Story, we believe every touching story is a seed of hope planted in your life. A simple life perspective. We are all both customers and servants of life. In this story, Sarah is the customer and Rebecca is the bank teller. But if we look deeper into our everyday lives, each of us is both a Sarah and a Rebecca. There are times when we are the customer, the job seeker, the one looking for an opportunity, and we long to be treated with respect and fairness. There are also times when we are the service provider, the person making decisions that affect others, and we are faced with a choice to treat others with prejudice or with compassion and respect. This perspective reminds us, treat others the way you wish to be treated, because today you might be the one serving, but tomorrow you could be the one in need of understanding. And in life, kindness is the one asset that grows richer the more we give it away. Feeling how this story connects deeply with our daily lives, have you ever realized that in our everyday moments, we often find ourselves in situations just like this story? Perhaps you walk into a new place, dressed simply or looking different from everyone else, and you can feel the weight of judgmental eyes upon you. Or perhaps you are the one serving others, and you are faced with the choice to treat a stranger with genuine respect or with suspicion based on what you see. This story is not just about Sarah or Rebecca, it is about all of us. We have all been Sarah, hoping to be seen for our true worth. And more than once, we've been Rebecca, allowing prejudice to cloud our sense of fairness in how we treat others. Reflecting deeply within ourselves, if today you take a moment to pause and ask yourself, am I unknowingly judging someone based on their appearance? Do I have the courage to stand up for fairness as Daniel did? Am I willing to open my heart, to learn and change just as Rebecca ultimately chose to do? If the answer is yes, then you are truly living the beautiful human values at the heart of this story. An actionable lesson to apply today. Try this. The next time you meet someone who seems different, resist the urge to jump to conclusions. Take a little extra time to listen, to see beyond the surface and discover their true self. You never know. They might be the person who brings you a valuable lesson, an unexpected opportunity, or simply a story that touches your heart. Because, as Emily so beautifully said, we do not just change systems, we change hearts. And from there, we change the world.